John, what is it about your background that you think allows you to articulate things in a way that's so different from
I,
the way other
I
teachers
I
do
think
it?
it's very important that whenever you demonstrate a given move, that you have to be able to give cogent and practical reasons why things are the way you teach them. Okay. If someone comes to me and asks me to demonstrate a move, the first thing I'm going to start doing is first they got to see what the move is. And then once there's a broad outline of the move, you got to start explaining to them why things are done as they are. If you can't give a rational set of reasons as to why things are done that way, something's wrong. It either means the move as you're teaching it maybe is based on some flawed assumptions, things that maybe you just picked up over the years that had never really been tested, and may not even be important. Um, or it may mean that you simply lack knowledge of the technique. Maybe you you can do it, but you can't explain it to someone else. But the moment you can give a rational reason why things are done as they are, that's when people can start to pick things up quickly. People will forget most information very, very rapidly, but they don't tend to forget when they're given a reason why they ought to do something. They tend to remember the why much better than they remember just simple directions. Always what I'm trying to do is to get people to think in terms of what are they supposed to be doing in the broad sense. So they have a general sense of direction. So once you give someone a sense of direction, the details can always be added on afterwards. But if you just throw details at people, they just get forgotten as quickly as they get learned.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you first give them a sense of, okay, here's the big picture, what we're trying to accomplish, here's some details to help you accomplish that, and here's why those details are the way they are. If you attack every problem on those three levels, big picture, details, and a set of reasons why the details are as they are, people tend to not only remember more of the information they're given, but they can act upon it more quickly because they know in general what they're supposed to be doing and they can move towards a goal. What you can't have is someone who just forgot everything from 10 minutes ago and now they've got a guy jumping on top of them. They don't even have the beginnings of an idea where to go. They're trying to remember detail here. Where should my left foot be? Where should my right foot be? And this guy's all over them. Of course, you just go back to what you've always been doing. But if you give someone a general picture, okay, and you, let's say for case in the case of Judigatami, and we talk about the position of my cross-face leg. What should my cross-face leg be doing? And its position on the shoulder, far shoulder, near shoulder, the very things that we demonstrate on today's filming. People can remember things like this very easily. And they may not get the details 100% correct, but that's not the idea. The idea is not to be 100% correct the first time you try it. The idea is to get someone in the ballpark. And once they're in the ballpark, they can always get closer and closer to the goal over time. But what stops people's progress is when they just get shut out. They learn a new move, it looks exciting, they try it, and there's just total failure.
Yeah, yeah,
That's when they're just like, yeah, I won't even bother.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. But if they can get a sense where they can see possibility for the future, they'll persist. They'll learn more about it and they'll add to their knowledge willingly. But when there's just complete failure from the outset, that's when everything goes wrong. So my whole interest as a coach is to get people beginning to succeed so they can feel potential in a move. If someone can feel potential, they will persist with it over time. They'll even come up with things on their own. They'll innovate. They'll research on their own time. They'll ask me more questions, and in time, over a series of weeks or months, in Travis's case, days, they'll get damn good at that move.
yeah. I think that's a lot more effective than when you tell someone why, rather than when someone asks the coach, "Well, why do you put your foot on the shoulder?" And they say,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that's not.
yeah.
It's not
Now
going
it
to resonate
can't
nearly
all
as
be
well."
theoretical knowledge. You can't just all just be throwing
Yeah,
concepts at people. At some point, you got to give them practical information. You got to go. There's a guy on top of you trying to punch you in the face. How do you stop him? So there has to be this interface between practical details on the one hand and a sense of direction on the other. What's the big picture here? What are we trying to accomplish? And when you get those two smoothed out and working together, that's when magic starts to happen. That's when you get people learning at a very fast rate.
What makes the difference between your successes and your failures as a coach?
A range of reasons. The single most important is persistence. People will point to all kinds of virtues amongst athletes. This guy's the most courageous. This guy's the strongest. These are all virtues. But the one indispensable virtue is persistence. The ability just to stay in the game long enough to get the results you seek.
But what does persistence really look like? If we can just break that apart a little bit.
It's actually, this is a great question you're asking, because most people see it as a kind of simplistic doggedness where you just show up every day. That's not it. The most important form of persistence is persistence of thinking, which looks to push you in increasingly efficient, more and more efficient methods of training. Famously, people talk about the idea that the hardest work of all is hard thinking, and they're absolutely right. Okay, coming into the gym and just doing the same thing for a decade isn't going to make you better. What's going to make you better is progressive training over time, where you identify clear goals marked out in time increments, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, and build those short-term goals into a program of long-term goals, making sure that the training program changes over time so that as your skill level rises, the challenges you face in the gym become higher and higher. Don't kill them at the start with challenges that are too hard for them to deal with. They get discouraged and leave. Build them slowly over time, but make sure they don't just get left in a swamp where they're just doing the same thing they were doing 3 years ago and they get bored. And there's 2 ways you can leave in a gym. You can leave from adversity, it was too tough, or you can leave from boredom. Everyone talks about the first. No one talks about the second. Most people, when they get to black belt, they get bored. They know what their game is. They know what they're good at. They know what they're not good at. When they compete, they stick with what they're good at. They avoid what they're not good at.
Yeah.
And they get bored. They reach a plateau, and that's it. My whole thing is to make sure it's not so tough at the start that they leave because of adversity, and then for the rest of their career to make sure it's not boring so they leave because of boredom.
Travis Stevens actually said something that changed the way I see training. He said it as a side comment, but he said that at the end of a good training session, your mind should be exhausted, not your body. And I've, for most of my life, saw good training sessions where my body was exhausted.
Yes, I believe that's the case with most people. Yeah, you should come out of the training session with your mind buzzing with ideas, like possibilities for tomorrow. And by the way, on that note, I would go further and say that the training session doesn't finish when your body stops moving. It finishes when your mind stops moving, and your mind shouldn't stop moving. After that session, there should be analysis. What did I do well? What did I do badly? How could I do better with the things that I did well?
Hey guys, most people study Jiu-Jitsu through instructionals that look clean, but they don't show what actually works under pressure. Here we learn from matches, where technique is proven when everything's on the line. That's how you cut through the noise and see what truly works when it matters. On my Patreon, you'll find free breakdowns from the newest matches I can't post on YouTube, full studies, and complete guides, all built to help you improve faster and train smarter. You can start free right now. The link's in the description and pinned comment. And if you're new, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next study.